Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the main news on Camnet TV. My name is Sylvia Zulu. Here are the top stories making headlines in our news tonight. Ex-presidential aide CHANDA convicted of theft and destruction of court records. Government's intentions of access to information law under scrutiny. Police dismiss claims of officer suspension as baseless and misleading. In international news, World Health Organization's 194 member countries struggle to draft a pandemic treaty. And in sports news, FIFA refutes allegations of imposing the 2025 Club World Cup schedule. I will be back with the details shortly after this break.
Enjoy the benefits of an instant loan with us ranging from 1,000 kwacha to 750,000 kwacha paid express once collateral is viewed, valued and verified. Call us on 0763 595 359 or 0779 432 993. Classified Financial Express, here as your financial friend.
Thank you so much for staying with us. And now the news in detail. Residents of Kapwaya-Mbale ward in Ngwerere, Chonga district have appealed to government through the Road Development Agency to install road bumps along the Zambezi Road linking to Ngwerere turn-off. The residents who held a peaceful protest say nearly 15 fatalities have occurred along the route in the past 4 months alone. On Tuesday, one of the residents, 64-year-old Esther Nzala, tragically passed away after being struck by a speeding vehicle around 6 p.m.
Following a series of accidents that have claimed the lives of their loved ones and pets, residents of Kapwaya-Mbale ward in Ngwerere Township Thursday morning held a peaceful protest to deter motorists from overspeeding. Speaking during the demonstration, Dons Lubasi, one of the residents, has called on the Road Development Agency to construct humps along the road, or better still, avail an engineer to the area, as residents are ready to meet the costs to safeguard their lives.
Through RDA, every day and every night. No harms. In the RDA, very engineer, but to let engineer by to honest. If it is our harms through our resources, we can do that as a community. We have already agreed. So to pay for RDA, please. Feturi kuno. Familia wa tuza nkuku tuza bantu. From this year tuza bantu bali 15, bayimbo ali 7, nkuku zili 8.
Other residents in the area have emphasized the need for government to intervene in the matter, as many lives have been lost along the said road.
Zambezi road taikwata mampu so tuleda ndaula banatulufya abantu abengi sana abakupungwa fe bambi bakutatirimbi bampunga ero babutuka kwabula okwishibana n'omwine omukungire kutiniwisa nakalya
sebona ubipa takuli ama bumps takuli ama amps yakwata abantu balepita bwino abana nga bapita paka kubemya ukubafumyapo pa road n'okubabwekesha every week kulefu abantu pa road. So already this week we feel number 3.
A nearby school head teacher has re-echoed the need for humps as school-going children use the road oftenly.
Fatal accident that we have come over to fight just now. So on behalf of not only the school but also the community, this road has recorded a number of fatal accidents, and of which that is worrying not only to the pupils and the learners that we are able to see behind us. So we are appealing to the relevant authorities, the area councillor and everyone that is managing this place. Please, the community is worried, the community has lost a road.
Meanwhile, a few meters away from the road, 64-year-old Esther Nzala's funeral was being held as she was hit by a speeding vehicle around 18 hours Tuesday. Her family members had this to say.
na time ya 18 hours. Chamene tipe mpako chakuti iyi load ya Zambezi ili hapa ilibe humps, so my drivers bambiri bankala chepe batamanga sibachita reduce and iyi load pamene ili mkomboni
na mugwa mwalomo galimbirwa banti mugwa goli abatubikire mahampa please kwako abantu banji.
Cherish Sibode for Camnet News, Chongwe.
Minister of Water Development and Sanitation Mike Mposha has expressed concern over the exorbitant amounts borehole drillers are charging customers. Mr. Mposha says while drilling boreholes is done at a cost, government is concerned with the high cost. Speaking in Lusaka when he met members of the Drillers Association of Zambia, DSZ, the minister said the drought situation in the country requires people to embrace irrigation and water harvesting, but the move is being hindered by the cost attached to drilling boreholes.
A long time, our people have complained. Then you cite and give a point and say, here, there's a probability that we are going to find water. Then you drill a few meters and say, we have hit a dry borehole. Beyond there, you have to pay. This is creating a problem to our people because sometimes you find that you go and drill 3 different points. A client wanted 1 borehole, then they end up paying for 3 boreholes which are all dry.
The members stand and they've stood ready to support the government of the day to deliver on that mandate. We expect that Zambia shall score more than ever as we've been interacting in terms of achieving the sustainable development goals as far as access to water, clean water, reliable water for that matter.
Some activists have doubted government's intentions through the Ministry of Information and Media to implement the Access to Information Act of 2023 by June this year. In a media address, one of the activists, Nawa Sitali, worries that the delayed operationalization of the Access of Information law is questionable and states that there is no effective validation process to confirm that the law will be implemented by June. Mr. Nawa also questions the country's rule of law, describing it as an academic access.
In a world driven by technology, the importance of access to information in real time is a basic necessity for most consumers of information world over. For decades, access to information in Zambia, especially in public institutions, is an undertaking that holds unclear responses despite President AIDE enacting the Access to Information Law on 22nd December 2023 after protracted back-and-forth deliberations for 2 decades.
Historical event where His Excellency the President is signing the AGI into law. From henceforth, this is no longer a bill, but access to information in Zambia is law.
But 4 months and 20 days down the lane from the day of enacting the law, some activists have expressed displeasure over the delay by the government to operationalize the law, awaiting an enabling statutory instrument by the Minister of Information and Media.
There are a lot of other things that we have been told, that we were told, that have not come to fruition. And until they come to fruition, we will believe that they are just dreams. So the issue of saying that it's coming to force in June, we can't even verify it. We can't even validate it. Why? Because there's no access to public information that we can use to ask for these questions.
The concerned activist also downplayed the country's rule of law, describing it as an academic exercise.
Its existence. So you can say that there are some scores in terms of the rule of law, but majority of the scores are an academic exercise, a wastage of money. When our parliamentarians sit and talk about law and enact law, they are wasting their time. Why? Because it has to be subjected to an individual. And by the way, the act says may, it doesn't say shall. It does not mandate the minister to say that they are putting this in place. It gives the minister discretion to decide at what point to put the rule of law in question. So there is no rule of law if the law is subjected to individual political whims to decide whether we should.
Meanwhile, others have challenged the government to quickly address the issue, citing other pieces of legislation which have not been worked on.
And just like that, we want to say that as activists, we are strongly appealing that this law should become operationalized so that our work can become easier, and so that we can expedite and be there to hold the government of the day accountable and every other person who owes us our rights and our duties.
A request to have access to this right has been delayed, and the right delayed is a right denied. And someone cannot say we shall implement it next month or next year. No, our rights, freedoms and liberties are guaranteed in the Constitution. And if we cannot enjoy them, then it raises a lot of red flags, especially around our governance.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Prison Care and Counseling Association, PRISCA, stressed the necessity of building a court complex near Mwembeshi Correctional Center to address delays in court proceedings caused by the transportation of prisoners. PRISCA's Executive Director, Geoffrey Malembeka, notes challenges such as transportation and distance, which hinder the justice process for inmates being ferried from Mwembeshi Prison to Lusaka. Meanwhile, Mr. Malembeka has commended the government for nearly completing 90% of the new Mwembeshi Correctional Facility, slated to be operational soon.
The Mwembeshi Correctional Facility, located in Kafiwe, is reported to be at 90% completion stage. It is for this reason Prisons Care and Counseling Association has commended government for the construction of a new holding complex aimed at decongesting the correctional facilities in the country. PRISCA Executive Director Geoffrey Malembeka says the initiative should be done in all correctional facilities so as to improve the quality of life for inmates.
To you, yes, very soon we will have a huge complex of correctional centers, and the holding capacity will be improved. But not only that, with the new law, Correctional Act number 37, which is based on human rights, and the correctional model is correct. The correctional model has changed from the punitive one to correctional. Those are the infrastructure, those are the buildings, those are the centers that we need, because they value life, because they are modern, because the sleeping space is big, and because incarcerated people will enjoy their right in terms of sleeping well. In almost all the correctional centers, we believe at PRISCA here that starting a new correctional center, building it from the ground, takes long. It is better to rehabilitate the current infrastructure because it is quicker.
Mr. Malembeka has also called on the Ministry of Home Affairs and Justice to construct local courts near the prison to reduce on costs incurred when ferrying inmates to Lusaka for court proceedings. He further adds that government must work together with civil society organizations and expand the necessary school in Mwembeshi for circumstantial children.
First thing we need is to put up a court complex like the one we have opposite Chimbagaira, because that's a beautiful center, but it has created one good problem, and that one good problem is Kasalanga. The ferrying track for those awaiting trial or remandees from Mwembeshi to Lusaka, where there are courts, will contribute to the access to justice delay, because there will be delays, first of all because of fuels, and also just transporting people from there in nursery school. But we need to expand that nursery school. The government needs to take up that. The building is already there, and they are using it. And some inmates are benefiting from that building, which is good. This is proper partnership. private-public partnership between CSO and government. We want the Ministry of Home Affairs and Zambia Correctional Service to work with us in expanding that center, wire fence it, and declare it by the Minister of Home Affairs as a detention center for all those mothers with circumstantial children.
Cherish Sibote for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Zambia National Union of Teachers, ZANUT, has welcomed the repealing of the Teaching Professions Act, whose aim is to introduce licensure exams for teachers to enhance quality assurance and professionalism in the teaching fraternity. ZANUT Director Public Relations Godwin Maseka, in an interview with Camnet News, says this will curb the unprecedented numbers of unqualified teachers as it provides checks and balances in assessing the qualifications of recruited teachers.
Access to quality education is pivotal in shaping the trajectory of a child's life. Beyond imparting knowledge, it fosters critical thinking, problem-solving skills, and a sense of social responsibility. Quality education provides equal opportunities for children, regardless of their background, empowering them to break the cycle of poverty and contribute meaningfully to society. Furthermore, it nurtures creativity and innovation, preparing students to thrive in an ever-changing global landscape. Given the aforementioned, government at a cabinet meeting Monday 6th May 2024 approved in principle the repealing of the Teaching Professions Act to, among others, introduce licensure exams for teachers. Following this development, the Zambia National Union of Teachers, ZANUT, has welcomed this move by the government, describing it as a stepping stone in bringing sanity in the teaching profession. ZANUT Director Public Relations Godwin Maseka, in an interview with Camnet News, says this will help keep the unprecedented numbers of unqualified teachers within the profession.
The same applies. But you discover that certain colleges are able to enroll students who do not meet the 5 O levels, and then they are told to rewrite whilst they are still in colleges. From the word go, such type of practice defeats the integrity of quality of education in the education sector. Because by law, you are saying such a person who has been admitted into a university or college with less than 5 O levels, that student is an illegal student. And if this student is to rewrite, and he happens to rewrite after 3 years from the time this person graduated, which qualifications are you basing on to say this person was eligible to have enrolled in this university or this college?
Mr. Maseka further states that the Teaching Council of Zambia should engage relevant stakeholders to ensure that they provide befitting exams to teachers before granting them the mandate of training young minds.
The licensure exam, therefore, will play a law of checks and balance. It is supposed to be administered by a Teaching Council of Zambia. And therefore, we are happy as Zambia National Union of Teachers that the Teaching Council is going to act as a valve to warrant only those that qualify to handle a Zambian child would be given an opportunity to do so. We are equally aware that as we are going to start preparing for the preparation of this Teaching Council of Zambia licentiate exam, Teaching Council needs to engage all education stakeholders so that together we'll be able to fully establish and appreciate the content of the exams that are going to be given to the teachers who have actually passed through university, have passed through colleges, and therefore these exams are not supposed to be deterrent.
Chanda Mwango for Camnet News in Lusaka.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court has convicted and sentenced former State House press aide under the Edgar Lungu administration, Amos Chanda, to 12 months imprisonment with hard labor for stealing court documents. Passing judgment Friday, Lusaka Magistrate Irene Wishimanga also fined former President Lungu's spokesperson a 5,000 kwacha for destroying the court document or 3 months imprisonment in default. Facts before court are that the convict on May 12, 2020 stole a case record and destroyed it, preventing it from being used as evidence in the court. The judgment comes barely 2 months after when Mr. CHANDA, along with his wife and sister-in-law, were convicted and sentenced to 7 months imprisonment for obstructing anti-corruption commission officers from conducting their duty during an investigation.
One month and 28 days ago, former State House Press aide Amos Chanda embarked on the journey of life in prison after the court slapped him, his wife Mebo Nakaundi, and his sister-in-law with 7 months imprisonment for obstructing anti-corruption commission officers from conducting their duty during an investigation, a sentence which was short-lived after he appealed the judgment. But on Friday, 10th May 2024, the former spokesman to former President Edgar Lungu embarked on the same journey after the Lusaka Magistrate Court found him guilty of stealing and destroying court documents in 2020. Lusaka Magistrate Irene Wishimanga also fined Mr. Chanda 5,000 kwacha for destroying the said evidence or serving 3 months in prison if he fails. In this matter, Amos Chanda pleaded not guilty to 1 count of theft contrary to Section 274 of the Penal Code and 1 count of destroying evidence contrary to Section 111 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia. Allegations are that the convict on September 30, 2022 was heard having a conversation with Intelligent Mobility Solutions Board Chairman Walid El Nahasi and former Road Transport and Safety Agency Chief Executive Officer Zinda Wasoko that he got the court record containing proceedings relating to a case where a nolle prosequi was entered in their favor and destroyed it by burning. The record that was burnt in this matter is in connection with a case in which Mr. Chanda was the third accused person jointly charged with Mr. Eonahasi and Mr. Soko, but the Director of Public Prosecutions on May 12, 2020 entered a nolle prosequi and the 3 were discharged of the offense. But in rendering judgment Friday, Magistrate Wishimanga explained that it was heard in the audio produced before the court by an investigations officer from the Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, that the convict is the one who took the court records and destroyed them by burning them into ashes, a revelation which was recorded by a DEC officer, John Siansamba, when the convict disclosed to his colleagues at a named hotel in Lusaka. The court also indicates that, according to evidence presented before it, Mr. Chanda was heard saying the case record was handwritten with more than 100 pages. As such, the court ruled that the prosecution team, led by Mwanza Makasa and Lewis Kandela, proved the case beyond reasonable doubt. In mitigation, Mr. Chanda, through one of his lawyers, Timi Mnalula, begged for lenience as the convict is the first offender, is remorseful and a family man. As such, Magistrate Wishimanga sentenced Amos Chanda to 12 months imprisonment with hard labor in count 1 and in count 2 sentenced him to pay 5,000 kwacha forthwith or in default 3 months imprisonment. In count 1, on dates unknown but between May 12, 2020 and October 1st, 2022, the convict did steal a case record and between the same dates, knowing that the case record is required in evidence in a judicial proceeding, willfully destroyed it to prevent it from being used as evidence. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
We now take our first set of commercials. I will be back with more news after the break. Don't go away.
Potatoes, the unsung heroes of flavor. From crispy chips to creamy mash, potatoes are the versatile superstars of your kitchen. Grown with love by our dedicated workforce drawn from around the community of Palavana. Savenda Farm's commitment is to see to it that we have potatoes that are grown right, healthy, big and tasty. For that quick fix or big celebration or that meal that brings family together,
top chefs rely on the Savenda potato to create culinary masterpieces. And for others, it's that icebreaker to a delightful conversation. So, embrace the magic of Savenda potatoes. They're not just a side dish, they're the heart and soul of your kitchen. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Are you looking for a reliable and efficient courier company with international standards? Then let UBZ Courier, your trusted partner in swift and secure deliveries, be your ultimate choice. Whether it's a small package or a hefty consignment, UBZ Courier handles it all, locally and internationally. Our modern call center ensures personalized attention for every client. For seamless deliveries within Zambia and beyond, trust UBZ Courier. Call us now on +260 763 062 680 or visit us at plot number 15 Mwapona Road, Woodlands, Lusaka, Zambia. UBZ Courier, a world-class brand that can be trusted.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
The Zambia Police Service refuted assertions circulating regarding the suspension of 6 police officers from Kulimatawa Police Post. Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga has described the allegations as baseless and misleading. Mr. Hamonga says the investigation conducted by the police reviewed no evidence of the alleged incident involving the refusal to block former President Edgar Lungu in the center business town. Mr. Hamonga emphasizes the importance of verifying information before dissemination to prevent panic and confusion. The Zambia Police Service has also reaffirmed its commitment to transparency, accountability, and upholding the law.
It has come to our attention that false information is circulating regarding the suspension of 6 police officers from Kulimatawa Police Post. We would like to clarify that these claims are entirely baseless and misleading. Contrary to the allegations, no police officers have been suspended as alleged that they refused to block former President Edgar Lungu in center business town. Our investigations have revealed that such an incident did not occur and therefore no disciplinary action has been taken against any officers in connection with this matter. As Zambia Police Service, we urge the public and media outlets to verify information before disseminating to avoid causing unnecessary panic and confusion. Even the typo errors can show that the statement was done in a hurry by a person with ill motives, with such mistakes as command instead of command. Furthermore, the Zambia Police Service has no public relations officer with the name Ria Hamonga. Our priority remains upholding the law and ensuring the safety and security of all citizens. We remain committed to transparency and accountability in our operations, and any misconduct by police officers will be dealt with in accordance with the law and our internal disciplinary procedures.
The Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, has apprehended various drug dealers in southern Muchinga, Copperbelt, and Wapula provinces, among others. DEC Assistant Public Relations Teresa Mawere says DEC officers in Choma District executed a targeted operation at a nightclub which resulted in the apprehension of notorious drug supplier identified as Andrew Kabamba, 37, of Choma South, who was found in possession of 43 sachets of heroin and 18 sachets of dry loose cannabis. She adds that in Muchinga Province, DC officers jointly charged and arrested James Kanyuka, 38, and Bridget Nangongo, 42, of Mafinga area in Mafinga district for trafficking 40 kilograms of dry loose cannabis.
The Drug Enforcement Commission has intensified its efforts to combat illicit drug trafficking across various provinces in the country. Through targeted operations, significant progress has been made in apprehending key individuals involved in the distribution and trafficking of narcotics. In Southern Province, a notorious drug supplier named Andrew Kabamba was apprehended at a local nightclub in Choma district. He was found in possession of heroin and cannabis. In Mchinga Province, James Kanika and Bridget Nangongo were arrested for trafficking large quantities of cannabis. On the Copperbelt Province, 8 individuals were arrested for trafficking in cannabis with quantities ranging from 1.2 to over 7 kilograms. Similar operations in Wapula Province led to the arrest of 3 individuals, including 1 juvenile, for trafficking in cannabis. In Central Province, 3 individuals were apprehended for trafficking in cannabis following a tip-off from the public. All arrested persons are set to appear in court soon. The Drug Enforcement Commission emphasizes its commitment to eradicating drug trafficking and encourages the public to continue providing information to aid in apprehending individuals involved in such criminal activities. Collaborative efforts with stakeholders and communities remain integral to dismantling drug trafficking networks, disrupting supply chains, and prosecuting offenders.
The Zambia National Coalition Education, ZANEC, chairperson for Skills and Tertiary Education Subsector Committee, Action Banda, says there is need for the Zambian education system to start building a system that's inclusive and responsive to the changing trends. Mr. Banda was speaking at an engagement meeting on decolonization of education for students and management in Lusaka today. And University of Zambia, UNZA Associate Professor Ferdinand Chipindi observed that sustainable development cannot take place without addressing the issues of decolonization in the country.
Ladies and gentlemen, the objective of this gathering, or perhaps may I say this meeting, therefore, is to initiate debates on the concept of decolonization and how it can be addressed in Zambia today. It is important, therefore, that we unpack the concept of decolonization at this meeting and come up with concrete solutions that will help us, that will help our higher learning institutions to chart the path towards a decolonized education system. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me, on behalf of Zambia National Education Coalition, which is acronym as ZANEC, to take this opportunity to appreciate the Norwegian Students and Academic International Assistance Fund, which is acronym as SAI, for the financial support that made it possible for this meeting to take place.
Organization of education is very critical because it implicates, our development aspirations.
For us, the stakeholder students, is a conversation that we thought we would have had like yesterday. Because if we're going to discuss the issues of decolonization of education, these are things that are very paramount to us. Now, this conversation is very paramount to us because we are looking at if decolonization is going to be actualized. Number one, our request as students is that there should be an increase in the budget allocation where education is concerned. Secondly, we should be able to see more capacity building programs that should be run if we're going to actualize it on good time. Number three, I think for us, the students, we would want to see policy implementation, because if we are going to discuss decolonization, we need to have favorable policies that are speaking to the current issues that the education sector is facing.
We now take our last break. I will be back with the rest of the news after the break.
With this impending drought, it's time we look to alternatives of sustaining our crops. We as ISDP are promoting irrigation and water harvesting as the solution to challenges posed by climate change. Watch our 13-week series as we unfold the solutions for our crops. Catch us every Monday at 2040 hours, repeats every Tuesday at 1910.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Thank you so much for staying with us. And now, in international news, government negotiators, advocacy groups, and others have been working inside the United Nations Health Agency headquarters in Geneva since April 29th to finalize the World Face Pandemic Agreement. The WHO's 194 member countries asked the body to oversee talks in 2021. The negotiations have been arduous, but the co-chair of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Body on a Pandemic Accord said on May 3rd that the goal was worth the effort. Here's a roundup of international news.
Government negotiators, advocacy groups and others have been working inside the UN Health Agency's HQ in Geneva since April 29th to finalize the world's first pandemic agreement. The WHO's member countries asked the body to oversee talks in 2021.
It's one of the first and one of the few legally binding instruments worldwide we would have on health and pandemics. And what happened in the last couple of years with the COVID crisis proved that the world was not well prepared to work together in fighting and preventing pandemics from happening, which cost many lives, and we do everything we can with this instrument to make that situation better than it was before.
The deal notably seeks to address the inequitable access to vaccines that occurred between rich and poorer countries during COVID.
On difficult issues, I would imagine that countries are trying to find a middle ground on what would work best to help prepare and prevent. I guess it's a matter of emphasis, whether you emphasize equity or you emphasize prevention, but they're both important because from what has happened with COVID, we know that equity was a problem within countries, between countries.
This professor points to the irreconcilable positions of countries or companies that complicate the drafting of a deal.
If we can reach an agreement, it would make everybody better off. It would make all countries better off and safer if we can agree on a common set of rules that would both commit countries to share information quickly and commit countries and companies to share technologies quickly. That would be in everybody's best interest, but we're not there yet.
The 9th and final round of talks is scheduled to end Friday.
Joyful celebration by supporters of incumbent Chadian President Mahamat Déby Itno. It comes as the country's Electoral Commission on Thursday declared him winner in the first round of voting with nearly 2/3 of the vote. The figures showed Debbie won with just over 61%, with the runner-up Success Masraf with over 18.5% of the votes. Our office is really happy. We're so happy we can't express it properly. Before the elections, we knew we were going to win, and so we won, and now we're going to get ready for the big party. This is just not enough. Several hundred supporters flocked to the presidential palace in N'Djamena and were joined in celebration by soldiers stationed in the area to safeguard the nation's military leader. Everyone is happy. We've heard the high turnout, which shows that people are really aware and that they were mature enough to achieve it. I guess the majority of voters have fulfilled their civic duty. The national agency that manages Chad's election released results of Monday's vote weeks earlier than planned. The opposition, led by Success Masra, has decried the results as false.
First drops of Nigerian oil gushed out at Semekrake in Benin 2 weeks ago. Beninese President Patrice Talon now says Niger will not use its port to export the oil. In a statement Wednesday, Talon said that Niger's logic was to blame. Benin is a member of ECOWAS. The West African bloc threatened the Nigerian junta with a military operation following a coup last July. Hit by ECOWAS sanctions, Niger closed its border with Benin. Porto Novo progressively took a softer stance on its neighbor and opened its border. Talon says his country exports large quantities of staples to Niger, but because of the closed border on the Nigerian side, informal vendors allegedly profit when Beninese suffer price increases. Talon accuses Nigerian authorities of rejecting formal cooperation. He has tied the opening of the semi-port to the normalization of trade relations. About 90,000 barrels per day was said to pass through the Chinese-built Niger-Benin pipeline.
In sports news, World Football Governing Body, FIFA, has rejected claims that FIFPro and the World Leagues Association were not consulted over plans to host the 32-team Club World Cup. This comes after Players Union FIFPro and the WLA called on FIFA to reschedule the tournament due to take place next summer amid a threat of legal action. FIFPro and the WLA said players are being pushed beyond their limits. In a letter sent to FIFPro and the WLA, FIFA says it has a duty and responsibility to implement an international match calendar in the best interest of world football. FIFA insisted FIFPro and the WLA were consulted about changes to the overall 2025 to 2030 international match calendar, including the 2025 Club World Cup, which was confirmed by the FIFA Council in December 2022. Although it says it is open to talks, FIFA has no intention of altering next year's Club World Cup, saying it is fully within their rights to set the parameters of our competitions whilst respecting the regulatory framework in place. Manchester City and Chelsea are among the 12 European representatives at the expanded Club World Cup to be held in the USA between 13th June and 15th July 2025. That's it for main news tonight. Before I go, here's a recap of the stories making headlines. Ex-presidential aide CHANDA convicted of theft and destruction of court records. Government's intention of access to information law under scrutiny. Police dismiss claims of officer suspension as baseless and misleading. In international news, World Health Organization's 194 member countries struggle to draft a pandemic treaty. And in sports news, FIFA refutes allegations of imposing the 2025 Club World Cup schedule. Our vase for the night is coming from the book of Romans 13, verse 8. Owe no man anything but to love one another. For he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Sylvia Zulu. Good night and God bless you.